AITA for wanting to leave my own home after my husband invited his entire family to stay for 6 weeks without asking me? So I got married in December, which means we've been married for less than 3 months. But my husband and I have actually been together for almost 7 years. Throughout our entire relationship, there was one thing I was always very clear about: I need personal space. And when it comes to people staying in our home, that's something I believe should always be a joint decision. My husband always told me he understood that, before we got married, and even after. Recently, though, something happened that really caught me off guard. I found out that his sister, her husband, their child, and my in-laws have all booked tickets to come stay with us. In total, that's going to be about 7 people living in our apartment. And they're planning to stay for around 5 to 6 weeks. Now, to be clear, I actually like his family, and I'm not against hosting them. If they were coming for 1 or 2 weeks, I would genuinely be happy to have them. But 5 to 6 weeks feels like a lot, especially right now. What upset me the most was how I found out. No one asked me beforehand. Not my husband, not anyone else. I only learned about the trip after everything had already been booked. The conversation wasn't, "Is this okay?" It was more like, "How long do you think they'll stay?" And that's when I realized the plans had already been made. To add some context, we live in a 2-bedroom apartment in a very hot climate. And this visit is planned during peak summer. So that means 7 people total sharing the space in the middle of the hottest time of the year. My husband will be at work for most of the day, which means I'll be the one at home with everyone. There are also some lifestyle differences that make this more complicated. My in-laws are strict vegetarians. They're not comfortable with eggs or non-vegetarian food being cooked in the home at all. My husband and I, on the other hand, normally eat non-vegetarian food as a regular part of our diet. So during their visit, I already know I'll have to adjust what I cook and eat at home. There are also smaller day-to-day adjustments I'll likely have to make. Things like how I dress around the house and how I go about my normal routine. All of that would probably be manageable for a short visit. But thinking about doing it for over a month feels overwhelming. What hurts even more is that this exact topic has come up before. For years, my husband told me he understood that personal space is really important to me. He always said he would handle conversations like this with his family, so I wouldn't feel pressured. This was honestly one of the biggest deal breakers for me before marriage. But when I brought it up after finding out about the trip, his response was basically, "What do you want me to do? Everything is already booked." And that response made me feel like my feelings weren't really being considered. For some additional context, I moved away from my own family and friends to live in the city where he works. So this home is pretty much my entire support system right now. That's why this situation feels especially difficult. It feels like a big decision about my own home was made without me being part of the conversation. At this point, I'm feeling hurt and, honestly, a bit disrespected. One idea I've been considering is going to stay with my parents for a couple of weeks while his family is here, just so I can have some space. But they live on the other side of the country, so it's not a simple trip. Traveling that far would also mean spending a fair amount of money, and I'm not sure that's the smartest financial decision right now. Another thing worth mentioning is that his parents already visit us fairly often, usually around 7 to 10 days every other month. Those visits also weren't really discussed with me ahead of time, but I tried to be understanding and adjust. This situation just feels different because of the length of time and how suddenly it all came together.